Growing up, I knew my parents were there for me. We celebrated family events. They were there for me when I was sick or needed help. As me and my sister grew up, we knew we could count on our parents. We were so proud to be their children. Today, we are there for our parents, to share in the celebration of their grandchildren or to be there when they are ill or need assistance. They can count on us. And now our parents look to us to take care of them. Hello, welcome to Always There. My name is Michael Wilsker, and I'll be your host. Thank you again for joining us. I know we've had a number of different programs over the last 14 months, and I'm happy to bring this program to you today. Today's my guest is Jocelyn Earhart. We're going to be talking about senior centers. Jocelyn is a outreach coordinator over at the Northborough Senior Center. Welcome, Jocelyn.
Thanks for having me.
Jocelyn, just give the viewers some background, your background. Where were you before you came to the Senior Center? How long have you been in the Senior Center?
Well, I've been really fortunate to work at two great senior centers. I've been at the Northborough Senior Center for about 5 years as outreach coordinator, and prior to that, I worked in outreach at the Needham Senior Center in Needham, Massachusetts. And they're two quite different senior centers, but both were great experiences, and you know, I really feel enriched by both experiences. Well,
it's interesting because I visit some of the senior centers, and Needham just opened up a brand new one.
Yes.
And fortunately, well, Northborough's got a beautiful one also,
yeah.
But Needham's used to be like in a school or an apartment building, and downstairs, I don't know how seniors were able to get down there safely, but.
It was, yeah, that was an ongoing issue. And I think it just speaks to the state of a lot of senior centers where they're kind of relegated to municipal building basements or, you know, back rooms. Just, I think historically they haven't had the best accommodations, and we're seeing more places move into better buildings or newer buildings, and it changes the dynamic.
And the main reason for that is because the population of seniors in the towns has grown. It's a bigger portion of the population now.
I think that's part of the reason. I think you know, the movement is older, the senior center movement, and it's gained more acceptance. Senior centers just perform so many functions that the need for them is become more entrenched. You know, I think initially senior centers started out as kind of a way for people to socialize, but over time they've developed into a much more general resource in which education is provided, maybe some health services, certainly SHINE, which is Medicare insurance counseling, is provided at senior centers, maybe nutritional services like Meals on Wheels. And those things, in addition to all the recreational activities that are going on, really help to cement the need for senior centers.
Now, before we get into all the details of what you just spoke about, the more specific details about the general things that each senior center does, let's talk about the Council on Aging. What is its role as relating to the senior center?
Well, the state of Massachusetts has mandated that each town must have a Council on Aging. And the Council on Aging is a town department. It's largely advisory in nature and typically made up of volunteers in the community, people that want to serve on the board. And their job is to prioritize the needs of the community's older population and determine how those needs are going to be met. So each town's Council on Aging may develop an entirely different path from their neighbors or, you know, other parts of the state. And most towns in the state of Massachusetts do have senior centers, but not all of them do. So some towns just have a Council on Aging that guides you know, how the town relates to its aging needs or community, and then other towns have, you know, full-fledged senior centers that perform, you know, are available to meet those needs.
So the towns that don't have actual senior centers but have council on aging, are they like an advocate for the seniors? So when they go to selectmen, they go to town meeting, they're advocating for the senior population in the town?
I don't actually know that they have, you know, that the board members do that, but I think that, you know, with the population, the community that they have, and the resources that they've made a determination that they don't need to go any further than the representation that's provided by the council.
Now, based on your knowledge, what kind of people are part of the Council on Aging? Are they just seniors, or can they be anyone in the community?
Yeah, our Council on Aging is pretty diverse in terms of the people that serve on it. Some people are retired, some are working. You know, it's men and women, people that have been caregivers, people that are older themselves and are lifelong residents. It's just, you know, it's really a varied group of people, and they provide good input into, you know, what a community might benefit from.
Well, the reason I'm asking is, are there any members of the board who would not be considered senior, like in their 50s, 40s?
Yeah, well, there are, but the interesting thing about councils on aging and senior centers is that they're intended to serve any resident with aging-related needs. So most of our participants are people that are 60 and older, but we help caregivers that contact us, or family members that are younger than 60 with their concerns about relatives that may live in the community or maybe out of state even. So anybody who has aging-related concerns can contact us, and we can serve as a resource for them.
And who is the who directly communicates with the Council of Aging from the senior center? Is that the executive director?
It's the director, yes.
And what exactly is the duties of executive director?
Well, I think it probably varies from senior center to senior center. At the Northborough Senior Center, the director is involved in this particular center. She's involved with a lot of the day-to-day things, as well as you know, an overall plan for the center and long-term planning. She does a lot of programming types of things, budgetary issues, hiring and staff supervision. And our director is very involved, so she knows a lot of the people that come in and use the center. She makes it a point to be a part of that whole part of the senior center.
Now, your role as the outreach coordinator, your background is as a social worker, correct?
That's right.
Now, do you meet with families if they have questions regarding, you know, what am I going to do with mom? She's just coming out of a rehab. You know, can you help me decide what I should do? Give me some information. Is that part of your role, or that is your role?
Yeah, that's part of my role. The Executive Office on Elder Affairs in the state of Massachusetts has said that outreach is helping people to stay in their homes by advocating for them for services and that kind of thing. And so I take that to mean staying in their homes or their community, keeping them, you know, where they want to be. And I can help family members access the greater aging services network, because it can be very fragmented. Right. And you know, but I can meet with people on an individual basis and deal with their issues one-on-one. So that's it's a great feature of the outreach department, whereas the other things that go on in the senior center are more, you know, group-oriented. And so this offers the opportunity for people to have one-on-one interaction.
Just give me a couple of examples of the kind of issues that are brought to your attention, or the families come in. I know we just talked about you know, should my mother go to assisted living? Should she stay home with care? Do you get situations where an elder, a senior, or a family comes in and say, my mother or my father's being abused? Do you get those types of situations?
Those kinds of things, yes, we do see those kinds of things. They happen and get reported to us, and we try to advise people really to report that issue. It's best if the report is made by the person where it's the person who's dealt with the situation is making the report rather
Right.
than somebody secondhand. But I think there's value in talking to the person about the protective services
That are
role.
offered by the state.
Right.
Right.
And how that role is carried out, and what the contact might be like. So just offering some guidance and advice around those kinds of issues. And beyond that, we can talk about what might be helpful going forward to minimize those kinds of situations, whether it's getting assistance through the ASAP, the aging.
What is an ASAP, so that people who are watching?
The ASAP is the Aging Services Access Point, and it's a regional agency. The state has a network of regional ASAPs that different towns can plug into and get services. They actually help to provide the services to people in their homes to help keep them in their homes, whether it's some short, some small amounts of in-home services to more extensive in-home services. They do the assessment for that and help to determine the level of care that's needed, and they offer a variety of other services like information referral and caregiving.
Now, do you advocate for the family, or you just give them the information and say, you should call this number and talk to them?
No, I think it's really important to advocate for people. These situations are intimidating, and depending on the person, if they're in the throes of a difficult situation, it's hard to deal with phone systems that have a lot of prompts and wait times, or maybe computer systems that are complex. So I'm happy to advocate for people and walk them through stuff like that.
That keeps your day very, very busy, I think.
Yeah.
How many people do you average over a week that come in and have issues that they need to talk to you about?
Well, the good thing about being in the office is that, I can schedule people, but then I'm there as people walk in. So I don't have to be, it's not a very strict situation. I have a kind of an open door policy, so I can see any number of people in the course of a day. And just by being in the senior center, it gives me the opportunity to connect with somebody, just even casually, and have an encounter that might lead to an appointment later on or something more.
Now, are you the only person they come to if they have those issues, or there's another social worker, or is the executive director? Who would also be able to meet with them if they have an issue, if you're not available, or
Well, yeah, in our senior center, the staff make a good effort to, if I'm not there, to get the person's name and number and make them feel comfortable, let them know that I'll call them back. The director has, made contacts for people and is happy to fill in if I'm going to be gone for an extended period of time. But for the most part, I'm the person that meets with people that come in for outreach.
So you're the social worker, the outreach coordinator. There's also a nurse.
Well, the nurse is somebody that we contract with, and she comes in a couple times a month to do blood pressure screenings and talk with people about their medications and just be kind of a resource for people. So that's somebody, it's more of a contract arrangement, but it's a service that we provide.
So there's an executive director, there's the outreach coordinator, there's the nurse who comes in when on a schedule, I suppose, not every day. Who else is part of the staff?
We have a full-time administrative assistant who oversees a lot of our paperwork and just day-to-day operations at the senior center. And we also have a part-time kitchen manager. We have a bistro. It's a small menu restaurant that we operate, and we're open for lunch 4 days a week and then dinner once a week. But we rely heavily on volunteers. The kitchen manager is the only paid person in the kitchen, and each lunch that she's open, she probably has 5 volunteers that she's overseeing to help her with that day's operations. So, and the people that answer our telephones are volunteers. We have 2 shifts a day of volunteers that come in and do that, and then we have volunteers that do all kinds of other supportive things around the center.
Do you always seem to have enough volunteers, or you can always use more?
We can always use more. We have a lot of volunteers. Yeah, we were just kind of looking at the numbers recently. Probably in a week's time, we have maybe 50 people that volunteer. And a senior center is a great place for somebody to volunteer. You know, not just attend programming, but they can, for somebody who's, you know, newly retired or new to an area, it offers a way to keep busy and meet people, and there's a lot of volunteer opportunities. Some of our instructors are volunteers, so it's pretty wide open.
When you say instructors, what are you referring to?
Well,
their role?
Yeah, we have a whole week's worth of programming that we offer at the senior center, and we have a number of different exercise classes, but we also have programming like a trivia class.
Bingo.
We have bingo. We have some art classes. There's support groups that meet at the senior center. There's a book group. We have had computer programming because we have a computer room, and we had somebody recently that taught some digital photography classes. So, and he made that suggestion himself. So we do have people that approach us with classes that they would like to teach and volunteer to do that.
So what would draw a senior in there if they weren't interested in any of those activities? Is there something else that they'd be able to do at the senior center, like play cards, TV, play pool? Are those offered?
Yeah, we have pool tables. We do have different card or game groups that meet throughout the week. Yeah, I think what our facility enables us to do is to allow people to find what works for them at the senior center. You can sign up for a class, but you don't have to. There really isn't an obligation to feel committed to anything. A person can just come in and read the newspaper and have a cup of coffee, or meet somebody there and have a cup of coffee with a friend. Some people come up for lunch, and then you know, they don't stay much after that. So we really encourage people to use the center in the way that makes sense for them. But I think, you know, there are those other opportunities also, like playing pool, you know, volunteering, playing cards with somebody, and those continue to change. We add new programming all the time. So.
Do you ever have dances?
We haven't really had. We have had a couple of dances. Nothing recently. We had a group of student volunteers that put together a dance.
What about outside speakers for education?
We have a lot of outside speakers, people that come in and talk about hobbies and interests, as well as nutrition and health-related matters. You know, we've had people that will talk about elder law issues, putting together a person's important documents and that kind of thing. So there's a huge range of topics, caregiver information, hospice.
Now, what about transportation? I know that some senior centers will not allow for volunteers to transport seniors to appointments and so forth. Westboro happens to be one that does allow volunteers, and I think some of them don't because of liability issues. How does it work in Northborough?
Right. Well, we get our direction from the town as far as that goes, and due to liability, volunteers are asked not to transport people, you know, not as a volunteer at the senior center. But we're fortunate to have a van service. We partner with WRTA, the Worcester Regional Transportation Authority, and offer transportation in conjunction with them. So we have vans that we use that are wheelchair accessible. The drivers are our employees, so we know them very well, and they're based out of our senior center. And then the riders call Worcester to schedule a ride.
Oh, okay, they do that.
And they create the schedule for whatever day whatever day the riders are going. And we provide transportation around the town, into Worcester, Marlborough, Westboro, Shrewsbury, and Southborough. So it works, it's not a complete transportation package, but it really works well, and it's a very friendly service and accommodating service.
Now, do you have to show, when you go to a senior center, do you have to show proof that you live in the town, or can just anybody go into a senior center?
You don't have to show proof. Most senior centers, although I'm not sure about all, are open to people outside the town. We have a lot of people that come and use our senior center from neighboring towns, and from our standpoint, it's a benefit. We get more participants and people that appreciate that the service is available to them. So we're open as long as they're not preventing a resident from receiving a space in a class or something like that. We're open to non-residents of the town.
Now, do you ever coordinate with other senior centers regarding activities? Do you collaborate with them about offering a program to the seniors that may happen in your facilities, or that may happen in another facility? Let's just say, for instance, Southborough. Do you ever collaborate with them and then have the program at your senior center, but it's all
not a lot, but that's something that can be done. It just depends on the program. Actually, there was a group of students from Algonquin that coordinated.
Algonquin's the high school.
From the high school that coordinated a program between Northborough and Southborough seniors. And it was a book group that they had read a book for the school year as a school, and then they hosted a book club or book discussion with senior participants from both senior centers. So that's the most recent example of that kind of thing. And it doesn't happen a lot, but we do get participants from, as I said, from neighboring towns.
And just regarding your senior center, do you share space with any other office of the town? Can young people come in and play pool, or is it really just?
Yeah, no, we don't share space. It's a freestanding senior center building. It's 3.5 years old, so it's a new facility, very accessible. But we do have a lot of younger participants that come in and use different facilities. They might participate in an art class or come to a presentation that we have, nutrition presentation or health, or you go to attend one of the support groups. And so far, it hasn't been a situation where we've found it to be a problem. Nobody's been displaced, and so we welcome that kind of involvement.
Now, you talked briefly about Meals on Wheels. How is that taken over or provided by the senior center? I'm assuming they're the people that are involved with providing that kind of service. Well,
this Northborough Senior Center, in this case, doesn't provide the Meals on Wheels. Bay Path Elder Services, they're our ASAP. They provide the Meals on Wheels, but the meals are packaged in our kitchen. So their employee, their kitchen manager for Northborough region comes into our kitchen and prepares them daily, and then volunteers come in and deliver them. And it's a nice collaboration that we have with Bay Path, and and that kind of community involvement is something, again, that we really welcome, because it we're working with the same community, and we feel like it strengthens our position as well as providing them with a location to do that.
Now the holidays are coming up, Christmas. Do you treat that day differently? Do you have special events related to that?
Well, we have a couple holiday events during the month of December. We just had to postpone our holiday dinner because of snow last night, but we'll have it later in the week. And people that want to attend that can buy a ticket. It's a ticketed event, and we have entertainment and a nice meal. And then we also have a gift program in conjunction with Home Instead, Home Health Agency in Northborough. We make gifts available to a select number of residents in the community and deliver those. So there are a couple of different kinds of ways that we recognize the holidays.
Do you have a special dinner?
Well, that happens mostly at the holiday event that's going to happen this week.
Okay.
And then there are a couple other little things that go on at the lunches, and it's just kind of incorporated into the monthly routine.
Now, what kind of a role does the senior center play where the weather is inclement, whether it be like now in Massachusetts where we live? There's a lot of snow. We've had 2 snowstorms within the last 48 hours. So that's one situation. And the other one would be where it's really, really hot in the 90s and people don't live with air conditioning. How do those 2 situations approached by the senior center?
Well, the senior center is typically open during normal business hours, even when there's snow. Sometimes our van transportation is not accessible. If the schools are canceled and the buses can't run, then our vans take their cue from them, and they don't go out on the road either. But if people want to come up to the senior center on their own, it's to their discretion. But the center is usually open. In any event, the staff are there, and we can help make phone calls for emergency services, that kind of thing, if need be. And we try to get information out in advance of the bad weather about, making some emergency preparations, things people can do to prepare for the winter months. And during the summer, we're open typically during regular business hours with air conditioning and that kind of thing. And again, trying to help people prepare for those months.
Right. Well, I think I'm going to end it here. We've provided a lot of information. I hope it's been helpful to the viewers. I just want to say goodbye, say thank you, Jocelyn, for coming in and talking about the senior centers, and I want to wish everybody a very happy and healthy holiday, and we'll see you next month on Always There.